Good morning, everyone. My name is Gozim Onula, and I'm live on your screens this this beautiful Thursday morning. Yes. So we are going to be discussing on the topic HIV infections criminalization and what you should know. So I'm going to briefly explain to you what criminalization of HIV infection is, and perhaps one or two other things that you should know. So basically, when we say HIV infections criminalization, we are saying that a state has passed a law that makes the transmission of HIV infection onto another person a crime, basically. So if a state says if you transmit HIV infection to someone else, you have offended us, so we are going to take actions against you, that means that the state has criminalized HIV infection, basically. So now I believe anyone, whether businessman, whether you are going to school, you are illiterate or literate, hearing this very simple explanation of what HIV infections criminalization is, you will be able to know what it means whenever you hear that HIV infection has been criminalized by a state in Nigeria. So now there is an increasing want or desire or need by state governments in Nigeria to criminalize the infection of HIV or criminalize HIV infection. So, and this has been a source of concern to civil society organizations for one, because we think these states governments that have started taking steps to criminalize HIV infection, or that have already criminalized HIV infection, like Lagos State, have not put into consideration the legal, health, and human rights implications of that. So Lagos State is one of the states in Nigeria that believe that it is worth it to criminalize HIV infection. So by their public health law of 2015, they have criminalized HIV infection, and it's an extant law, and it is in full operation basically since 2015. And Nasarawa and Akwa Ibom states have also begun their own process by working on their anti-stigma bills to also criminalize HIV infection, as well as make provisions for certain other issues that we think are discriminatory to women in terms of HIV infection. So the human rights implication is one that we cannot exhaustively touch on or take on at this moment, but perhaps in a larger forum we'll be able to discuss that effectively. So this conversation has been on for some time, at least in the last 6 years. It's been on, up and running, and different organizations have tried to take steps to discourage that fact or that issue. For one, Lawyers Alert in 2019 actually put up a policy brief to the lawmakers in Akwa Ibom State, intimating them on the need to not criminalize HIV infection and how it takes us 10 steps backwards in our fight to reduce the spread of HIV in Nigeria. So we have even the government and civil society organizations as well have taken on projects geared towards curbing the spread of HIV, because it has become a source of wonder and it keeps increasing day by day. But we have realized that the criminalization of HIV infection, which of course comes with so many discriminatory and stigmatizing provisions, is a step in the wrong direction in terms of curbing the spread of HIV. So we believe that there are several reasons states governments should not venture into criminalizing HIV. For one, it involves the excess use of state fund that could be used or channeled into HIV treatment and all that. And we have been looking for how lots more persons can come and willingly give themselves or subject themselves to testing, informed testing. And you know, when HIV infection is criminalized, you would see that a lot of people would go back into their shell, because they know that if they are found to have HIV, the torchlights will be on them. And going forward, whatever happens, they feel they know they would be liable to certain kind of punishment by the states. So this criminalization would definitely make a lot of people to not want to test themselves. And in not testing themselves, HIV keeps increasing. So the thing is, one of the problems that we also see in this kind of legislation is that we feel it comes along with several ambiguous statements. It comes along with a lot of confusion. So you hear, you see certain words in these bills and law, like where a person willfully, or where a person carelessly, or where a person intentionally infects. So you begin to wonder, how are we to measure willful transmission of HIV? How are we supposed to measure careless infection? How are we supposed to measure intentional infection of someone with HIV? So when we talk about criminal offenses, criminal issues or criminalization of certain issues in Nigeria, lawyers in the house would know that in terms of criminal cases, when in a court of law one is proving a criminal case, the burden of proof is way higher than that in terms of a civil, or when it has to do with a civil matter, because you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. And when you talk of beyond reasonable doubt, you would begin to imagine how you would be able to convince and lay facts, convince the parties involved, including the judge, of course, and lay facts that will be so confusing, so convincing, beyond reasonable doubt, to make someone liable or guilty of an offense. So in that case, now you begin to wonder, how is someone supposed to measure and prove that someone has infected someone intentionally or willfully, or is careless with infecting someone? So this means that if HIV infection is criminalized, there will be a lot of resources wasted, that will be wasted in prosecution of persons with HIV. And this is also beyond the fact that these provisions come with a lot of ambiguity. You will see that it is very discriminatory. Like I said earlier, it is discriminatory to single out HIV of all other communicable diseases or sicknesses, of all other transmittable diseases, to single out HIV to say we are criminalizing this. For one, HIV is not the only illness or sickness that puts someone's life or someone's health at risk of danger. HIV is not the. In fact, there are a lot of other diseases or sicknesses that are worse than HIV. And the most beautiful part of it is that even if someone has HIV, the person can still live the number of years that has been destined for him or her to actually live. So HIV is not a death sentence. So singling it out to say we are criminalizing this has not been backed up with any justification. So we believe that it is very discriminatory. So recently we have seen persons being arrested and taken to court in very few instances on account of HIV infection. And we believe that this is the same thing that we fear very much. We fear very much that would happen, because taking someone to court and prosecuting the person on account of HIV infection is something that would not only waste time, it would also waste resources. The time of the judge, the resources in terms of the courtrooms that are going to be lighted, of course, with diesel and everything else. You know, a lot of things are going to go in for it and nothing would come out of it. So we advocate and believe that it is wiser to channel the time and resources to to awareness, to sensitization of persons in these states around Nigeria on what actually HIV is and how HIV can be transmitted, and encouraging people to come out and test themselves. And of course, making provision, setting measures, setting things like condoms that would obviously and that would really curb the spread of HIV. So this is what we believe, and we believe that you viewers who are watching this would also help us in fighting this issue of HIV criminalization, so that the resources, like I said, will be channeled into better things that would, of course, better the nation at large, and of course make everybody happy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being with me, and I hope you also join us next time on our Thursday Facebook Live series.